Will we see the return of Alpaca Ray? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 7 of Buddy Daddies. Last time we had field trip stuff and Kazuki trying to make up for, hit him and Miri kind of having a little bit of a fight, a little bit of a disagreement because he assumed something about Miri without truly trying to get to the root of things. Like, he did ask her, but the way he asked was very accusatory, and he was acting as if she had done what he had heard she had done without actually getting any real information. And he should have just handled it a lot nicer, a lot more friendly, because he upset her. And she's a 5-year-old girl, 4 or 5-year-old girl. She's not going to understand. She's not going to understand why someone might be angry with her. If she senses that someone's angry with her, that's going to make her not want to talk to them, at least for a time. Because, she's 4. She's not going to hold a grudge for long. Which we see. We see she makes up with Kazuki very, very easily, very well. And it all works out. But yeah, it was just a big misunderstanding. And so now we go into our next episode, and I'm, as always, very curious to see what happens next. I've been very much enjoying this, and I hope that it continues to be, just as much fun as it has been. So let's get to this episode and see what we have in store. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. This episode was needed, because for the past couple episodes, it felt like we were, focusing almost entirely on, the cutesy family stuff, and we had not completely abandoned or anything, but focused less on the plot-heavy, even assassin-related stuff. And this one didn't focus... Well, I mean, it kind of did focus on the assassin stuff, because that was actually a big part of this backstory. But yeah, this episode definitely, gave us that depth that we had been missing for the past couple of episodes. And not that the past couple episodes were bad, by any means. They were, really good. But this was still needed. So, for personal experience here, I've said it in other videos and all, but I've never really had a partner. I've only been on 3 dates in my life, and I never actually went anywhere. But I have had loved ones die. When I was still in high school, my great aunt died, and I was really close with her. At the time, my direct family had moved down to Georgia. We normally live in Michigan. So I also hadn't seen her in a while. And so it's that very much hit me really hard. And then, I'm trying to think, like, I want to say it was like a little over a decade ago. I don't remember the exact date and all, but my uncle died. And then a few years after that, my grandfather on my maternal side followed. Same side of the family, by the way. And all three of these deaths hurt. And I'm someone who doesn't like funerals or wakes because I'm a very emotional person, as is very clear from a lot of my reactions. And while I acknowledge, like, obviously the importance of feeling negative emotions, I also do not like it. And I think that's fair. I think most people don't like to feel bad. But, like, watching, like, a movie or a show or something that makes me feel like that is also very different than, you know, a death in the family. And so funerals actively, like, put me in, like, such an aggressively bad mood that I just it I'm not okay afterwards. And it makes it takes me a lot longer to get over things in that kind of situation, because I genuinely, like, get really upset from it. And I understand, like, the point of a funeral or a wake is to, mourn the loss, as well as, in some cases, to celebrate the life of the individual who passed. But, like, I just find myself in such a bad mood at those kind of things that it actively, like, really puts me in a bad place. And it's always something I've had trouble with. Because I was in Georgia at the time, I didn't even get to go for anything for my great aunt. And then with my uncle, I actually left the 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 funeral early because I couldn't stand being there. I was put into such, like, a bad place emotionally, and I basically needed to get out for my own mental health's sake. My grandfather's wake was a lot, like, more focused on, like, the good times and everything, and it was a lot easier to handle, but it was still a lot for me, and it left me, like, just feeling hollow inside. And it's like, these are situations that I have had a hard time with. But after this all had happened each time, I had to force myself to continue on. Like, I had to force myself to get back into doing my normal stuff, because I know that if I didn't, I would have ended up like Kazuki here. Except I would have been like that, not just at this time of the year, not just at the time of the year that, it happened at, but I would have been like that, like, at all times, and I probably would not have survived it. Because I know how much I can handle mental health wise before I get to that point. And I know I would not have handled that well. And so I forced myself to continue on. And I've never, like, stopped being sad about it, but I think I did the right thing. And different people will have different views on this, of course, but I think that by wallowing in that sadness, and that by like focusing on that, all you do is hurt yourself and others around you. Whether that's through your emotional state, the way you treat others during that, or the way you're even treating yourself, which, loved ones would not want to see. And for me, I knew that I would be like not okay from that. And I know that like the way I treated myself and others would degrade greatly. So again, I had to push forward, I had to move on. Kazuki here, in the 5 years since it happened, did not move on. And while most of the year he seems to be okay, despite, continuing to give his, not actually sister-in-law, but like close enough. Because they never got married, but like she would have been his sister-in-law. So we'll just use that as an easy term because it's close enough. But to continue to give her money out of guilt, out of blaming himself for Yuzuku? Let's just say Yuzu's death. It's like, that shows he's never gotten over it. And then at this time of year, like specifically, being the time, like the anniversary of it happening, like he broke. Because of, like, Ray not doing enough around the house and Miri, being a child and complaining. All of that piled up on the already, like, compromised emotional state he was in, and he broke. He snapped and he left. He tried to drown himself in girls and booze and gambling. He got into a fight because he couldn't deal with it. He couldn't deal with his emotions. And that's something that that is entirely reasonable. Like, you can't blame someone for being unable to deal with trauma that they've experienced in the past. You can't blame someone for being fucked up about the death of a loved one. And to check here, I want to make absolutely sure. Give me a second to find that scene again. Okay, it doesn't show a big focus on it when she's standing there in the rain, because it shows her from far away and then shows a close-up of her, like, upper body right before, like, she died. But then, later on, yeah, she's definitely pregnant. Because it shows Kazuki, like, holding her belly and everything, listening, I assume, for the child. And it seems like she was, like, well along in the pregnancy. So, to lose her during, and basically because of this chase he had in his eyes, but also to lose their unborn child and shortly before they were to get married, it's like, yeah, that would fuck anyone up. And that's reasonable. And you can't, like, blame a person for that. You can't blame him for facing this trauma for 5 years and being unable to get over it. That's horrific and should never happen to anyone. But the fact of the matter is, it did happen. And him not getting over this pain has now led to him hurting his new family. And no matter how you view this, whether you actually want to like ship him and Ray as like a couple or just see them as best friends taking care of a kid together, no matter what, this is still a family living situation. No matter what, he definitely like hurt them both by leaving. Especially without saying much other than leaving that little note. But this did do a couple of things. The major thing is that Ray like actually had to start doing stuff, which that was one of Ray's biggest flaws, if not his biggest. Ray is lazy and self-serving. And again, there's nothing wrong with having lower work ethic than someone else. But you have to be able to at least do the basics to take care of yourself and others, especially when you have a child in the house. And Ray wasn't even doing those basics. And yeah, that's not okay. And Miri, on the other hand, was being a kid. Being a little, like, bratty in a way. But in like a, a cutesy childlike way. Not like in like an actual genuinely rude or mean way or anything. And she doesn't understand better. But Ray's also not helping with that. Kazuki's trying his best, but he's only one person. And while, yes, there's a lot of single parents in the world who do wonders and should absolutely be praised for everything they do for their children, not everyone can do that on their own. Some people do need help. And again, Ray, I assume, knows. In fact, no, I can guarantee Ray knows that this time of year is bad for Kazuki, and that, like, he really should have been pulling his own weight as well. Like, Ray absolutely understands that Kazuki would not be in a good place at this point, and would need help. But Ray chose to keep playing his games, and to not do dishes, or clean up anything, and straight up ignored Kazuki, too. Like, Kazuki was, like, calling to him at points, like, telling him, can you do this for me? Can you take care of this? Can you answer the door? And he was, like, in earshot, but just ignored him. But we also saw that Ray does care, like, especially about Miri and everything, which we already knew, but we really get to see it in action here and how he is going to do everything he can to help when he needs to. And hopefully this scare that he had with Miri getting sick, like, you saw how freaked out and, like, desperate he was when he came to Q. He was scared out of his wits. He wanted so bad for her to be okay. But he had no idea what to do. Like, looking for medicine was good, but they didn't have medicine for her age. They needed pediatric medicine. Because, like, the medicine they had wasn't recommended for children 12 and under, which is, fairly common. And so he didn't know what to do, where to go. He thought hospital, but doesn't even know where the hospital is. So he took her to Q. Someone he trusts, someone he knows would be able to help. And it's one of those cases where where I think this is going to help him learn a little bit. And I think at the end there it showed that he has, because he tried to make French toast. He didn't do it well apparently, but he tried. He actually put forth effort. And that's progress. And that's all that we ask. Again, you don't have to have the work ethic of Kazuki. Kazuki absolutely has an intensely high work ethic. He's, very particular about cleanliness and about food, especially about food. He's very particular about that. You don't have to be like that. I hate it when people try to tell you, like, oh, I have this extremely high work ethic. Why can't you be like this too? It's like, don't try to force your way of living on another person, no matter what it is. That's not okay. Everyone's different. Different people can handle different things differently. Not everyone can have that kind of work ethic, and that's okay. But everyone should be able to handle the basics. Like, anyone can vacuum, anyone can do dishes, anyone can do laundry. It's very simple stuff. No one's saying you have to do a deep clean of your house every week. That's ridiculous. That's silly. No. But you have to at least be able to do the basics. And you have to know how to take care of yourself. And again, if you have children, you have to know how to take care of them. Or at least do your best to figure it out. And so I'm glad that Rei is progressing in that. And I'm also glad that Kazuki is clearly progressing, as shown by the photo, now not hidden away, in moving on from his fiance's death. He's never going to get over her completely, and that's fine, that's fair, that's reasonable. You never should. You should never get over a loved one's death completely. But you do need to be able to move on. Like, there's always going to be sadness, and especially around that time of year when it happened. That's always going to be able to hit you. But if you just stay, drowning in that sadness, in that sorrow, again, it's only going to hurt yourself and others. So, progress is important. And I'm glad that Karine, Yuzu's younger sister, was able to help him get to that point. Both him and Rei, were pushed forward in this. And were able to make some progress for the future. And that's good. That's really good. That's really important. So, this was a very good, very important episode that, teaches lessons to those who are watching, but also helps, understand that it's okay to feel sad about a loved one's death, or it's okay to not be, the most, or to have the most strong work ethic ever. But you just have to make steps to move forward. It's teaching these lessons to anyone who's watching, no matter what the age. And it was really well done. And it was needed. It was something that this series needed to touch on. And I'm sure we're going to touch on Rei's past more as well, since we've gotten a little bit of that already. But this one definitely felt like something a little more special. And that is why I think we're going to do what I was talking about doing last week. So last week I was talking about we're about halfway through the season. Maybe we could, if this episode feels like it's a good point to take a break on, we're going to take a break on. But last episode was like, okay, this is very much fine. I can continue on with this. And then we had this episode. And it's like, this felt like a mid-season finale. This felt like a big push forward in terms of the tone, the style, the messaging, the just overall like vibe of it. And this feels like a good point to take a break at, a good point to just leave off on this, to have this thought, this feeling in my mind, and to come back refreshed and ready to get into the latter part of this season / series. I think that an episode like this is a really good point to take a break at because of how heavy and important it was. So we're going to do that. This was not something I initially planned for or anything. This was not something that I was like prepared for. So we're going to do what we've been doing a bit of lately, and we're going to have another poll. So yeah. But this poll is actually going to be, I think, a specific kind of poll. I'm not going to tell you what that is yet, but I have an idea, and I'm going to, once, well, mind you, once this comes up, the poll will also come up alongside this reaction, so you'll be able to see it like right away. But like, I'll save it for like when you actually go check that out. But yeah, we're gonna have the poll up, and it's probably gonna go until Friday, because it usually does only needs a couple days. We don't have like a big enough following to need more than that. But yeah, it'll be a poll. It'll go up, and you guys will vote on what will take the place in the Wednesday slot for now. So we will continue Buddy Daddies in the future. We're just taking a break for the moment. We will be back with this because I am loving this series. Like, I am loving this show. So we will definitely be back. So no worries about that. This isn't me dropping it. This is just us taking a break so I can refresh myself for the future, for the final episodes to come. Which is like 12 or 13 total, so 5 or 6 more episodes. So yeah. In the meantime, oh, by the way, the poll will be in the, I can never remember what they call, because they changed the name. It used to be called something different. But they changed the name, and now I can never remember what it's called. It's going to be on the channel. It's going to be in the posts. It's fairly simple. I don't know why I always forget it. It's going to be in the posts section of the channel. So if you go onto the channel and check posts, it'll be there. But yeah. So you'll find the poll there. You can vote on it. It'll be open until Friday. But all of that being said, like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.